More than 3 years into the war in Ukraine, Russia continues its campaign with sustained missile and drone attacks, despite extensive battlefield losses. Observers are increasingly focused on how Moscow maintains its firepower amid mounting casualties and equipment destruction. Foreign support appears to play a central role, with several nations providing military or dual-use supplies. This article explores the international logistics behind Russia's endurance in the conflict. It also examines calls for a stronger, more unified Western response. #Small Blue Diamond Full article. Since the invasion of Ukraine began in February 2022, Russia has faced considerable resistance and suffered significant setbacks. Yet despite heavy equipment losses and an estimated 900,000 military casualties, including around 250,000 deaths, its offensive operations continue. This persistent capability, analysts argue, is in large part due to a network of international supporters and suppliers. Initial Western intelligence assessments predicted that Russia's stockpile of precision-guided weapons would be exhausted by the end of 2022, assuming no resupply. That forecast did not anticipate the extent of external support Russia would receive. Iran has provided large volumes of drones and short-range missiles. North Korea is believed to have shipped artillery shells and ballistic missiles, and reportedly tens of thousands of North Korean troops have traveled to Russia to assist in various roles. China, while officially denying it provides weapons, has been suspected of supplying dual-use components, commercial goods that may be repurposed for military applications. These items can include microelectronics and other technology used in missile guidance systems or unmanned aerial vehicles. While evidence of direct arms transfers remains limited, the cumulative impact of indirect support has proved critical. Western military officials report that Russia has shifted its focus from strategic military targets to broad attacks on civilian infrastructure. This tactic, often intended to lower morale or disrupt essential services, has drawn condemnation but continues to be employed. The destruction of cities, power plants, and public utilities is largely carried out using equipment provided or supplemented by Moscow's external partners. According to estimates, more than 10,000 tanks, 22,000 armored vehicles, and 26,000 artillery systems have been destroyed over the course of the war. The Russian Air Force and Navy have also suffered considerable damage. Yet the Russian military continues to launch frequent missile and drone strikes, at times deploying hundreds of aerial munitions per week. There are also reports that Russia is preparing to escalate its drone campaign further. Plans have allegedly been drawn up to deploy as many as 1,000 drones per day, which would mark a significant increase in scale and intensity. Such an effort would likely depend on continued support from partner nations with drone manufacturing capacity. Some Western officials have warned that unless these foreign supply chains are disrupted, Russia's war-fighting ability could persist indefinitely. They argue that without strategic pressure on nations like Iran and North Korea, and without tightening controls on dual-use exports from global suppliers, Europe may face a prolonged conflict with no clear endpoint. Calls have been made for stronger coordination among Western governments, not only to supply Ukraine with defensive systems and aid, but also to develop more effective economic and diplomatic measures to curtail the flow of arms and components to Russia. Critics of current policy suggest that unless the Kremlin is met with consistent, comprehensive resistance, the pattern of militarism may continue well beyond the current conflict. While military analysts note that targeting civilian populations has historically failed to achieve decisive outcomes, as seen in conflicts such as the Second World War and the Vietnam War, the tactic remains in use. It may reflect, some argue, the limitations of Russia's current conventional forces rather than a long-term strategic plan. As the war enters its fourth year, the international community continues to debate how best to respond, not only to support Ukraine, but to address the broader implications of a prolonged conflict backed by a network of foreign states. Whether through economic pressure, diplomatic isolation, or increased military aid to Ukraine, the question remains: can external support for Russia be meaningfully curtailed before the war becomes a permanent fixture on the European continent?